Again, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. We are going to be talking about everything that you should be doing during event season, before the event, during the event, after. And yeah, just a few logistical things. Any questions or comments, feel free to throw them in the chat or Q&A section. And then everyone will also receive a recording of this webinar, so don't feel like you need to memorize everything that we're saying. Cool. So before we get started, we just want to introduce ourselves so you guys know who you'll be working with tonight. My name's Emily. I'm the head of student athlete success over here at SportsRecruits. I work with our customer success specialist team. I work with our B2C team. And then I also work with our recruiting analyst team, which is a team of individuals who help student athletes through the recruiting process. A little bit about my recruiting process. I played basketball in college. I was strictly looking Division III, where I ended up at a small liberal arts school called Franklin and Marshall College. And during my time there, I worked in the athletic office. I worked with various different teams, and I was also the assistant to the associate athletic director.
Awesome. Hi, guys. My name is Caroline Jones. I work on the B2C sales team at SportsRecruits. I've been here for about 5 years. In my role, you all have probably received emails from me in the past. Actually, I work with families, helping them get started on SportsRecruits, teaching them how to use the platform, helping them pick a package option if it's the right fit for their family, ultimately making sure that families know how to leverage their SportsRecruits profile in the recruiting process. Before I was at SportsRecruits, I actually worked at US Soccer with their youth national teams, and working at that high level with high level student athletes really, was eye-opening. And that honestly, whatever level you're looking to play at in college, the recruiting process can be pretty overwhelming at every level. The main, point of a student athlete for a student athlete to understand is you need to be proactive, reaching out to coaches, getting your name out there. We're going to show you how to do that tonight on the webinar and make sure that you're organized. But yeah, excited to talk with you all.
I'm John Puglies. I'm the head of growth with the Alliance Fastpitch. So I work a lot with our members. So high level, kind of big picture. We support over 1,040 teams across the country who are members of the Alliance, over 10,500 athletes and over 1,500 coaches. And I get a chance to be on the ground floor with all of them. I'm really supporting the growth of the game. I'm working with our organizations, our coaches, to make sure that the student athlete player experience is at the highest level that possibly can be, to continue to make this great game grow. So I'm excited to be here with the SportsRecruits team, and learn a little bit more from them and hear more about the recruiting process with all of you.
Great. So before we get started, just want to go through tonight's agenda. So John's going to talk about Alliance in a bit, being a member and what that means. Then we're going to dive into everything you need to know about the event season. So what you should be doing to set yourself up for success before an event, what to be doing during, how to be interacting with your teammates, with coaches, the steps to be taking after the event. We're going to talk a lot about video, messaging college coaches, and how to, ensure that you continue to get that exposure and continue to have that engagement with college coaches post-event. And then Caroline's going to walk through the different SportsRecruits packages. If you are interested, some of you may be free users. Some of you may already have an account with SportsRecruits. So we'll talk about that. And then we save some time at the end to go through Q&A. So yeah, again, if you have questions throughout, definitely feel free to post them during the presentation and we can answer them at the end.
Awesome. So just for context, I was a college basketball coach for a decade. So I coached Division I, II, and III college basketball. I saw recruiting on the other side. And I've also run basketball organizations and been a part of recruiting education for a long time. So, I'm really excited to be on with everyone in this setting, because of how important I think the Alliance Fastpitch and what we've done is to the growth of the game of softball. You'll hear that as kind of some buzzwords for me kind of throughout my time is growing the game. When I talk to coaches across the country every day, coaches talk about how important it is for them to leave the game better than they found it. And I think one way that we really impact that and is through our core pillars. So the Alliance Fastpitch is a national organizing body that was created in 2020. We offer competition pathways, recognition, and one singular community for teams, athletes, parents, and coaches. So when we think about the Alliance Fastpitch, we think about unity, purposeful play, and access for all. The access for all part is a really important piece to why I live in this world, and I think also why it's important that we're partnered with such a great partner like SportsRecruits, because we've really leveled the playing field for student athletes so that no matter what organization, what team you're a part of, you have access to the same resources as every other player and every other organization across the country. That includes a product that I think is terrific in the SportsRecruits product. So when we talk about that access for all, we're really talking about creating a place where you have access to the same tools, the same resources, and you're in the same place that has access to competition, recognition, and community, which are really the three biggest pillars of our network. I already said some of the highlighting numbers, right? We have 10,500 athletes and over 1,040 teams and 1,500 coaches. And these people all are together with a mission to drive this game to be better in the future than it is today. When I talk about these pillars, whenever I'm talking to parents or when I'm talking to coaches, these are the driving force behind our community. Recognition of the best players and teams across the country is earned through data. A postseason that mirrors the Women's College World Series, which I was obviously glued to the TV for. And where balanced competition really prepares athletes for the next step on their journey. And I think this really relates to the recognition piece in recruiting and how the Alliance Fastpitch is really supporting that. We have our Alliance All-Star Games.
Is John cutting out for you, Caroline?
To see is the best competition plays in the Alliance. Every game is competitive, and the community is really important to this world. Student athletes feel like they are being prepared for the Women's College World Series, and they've enjoyed this experience of playing in something that really supports their growth as student athletes. This Alliance is about players. It's about your experience. It's about competing on a national level. And it's really designed so that anyone can be a part of it. And we want that to be the case. Through our leaderboards, we recognize over 500 student athletes in spring. Through our player profiles, feel free to go to the next slide. That's great. Through our player profiles, we have integration with SportsRecruits. So your recruiting profile is on that Alliance profile. You have a trophy case highlighting if you are in the Super Cup, you are a player of the month. Our leagues have recognition. So the region that you're in is going to recognize you. And you can see there's a really cool connection that is able to happen for any student athlete on any team across the country. This is a student athlete committed to the University of Florida. She's got these really cool stuff in her trophy case. She got her SportsRecruits profile linked there. She had, 21 home runs and 21 doubles. She's top 10 in the country in hitting. Well, even those student athletes who maybe don't mirror this exact profile have the same opportunity for recognition that anyone else does by being a part of the Alliance. And although Taylor may have been one of the most recruited players in the country, you can obviously take advantage of that same opportunity. And the growth of the game is what's best for everybody. And so I really appreciate being on with all of you. I think recognition from the things we're doing with SportsRecruits, the things that SportsRecruits is able to do for your organization, for your team, for your coach, and then for you as a student athlete. And if there's any parents on here, certainly how this can support you as parents. I think this is a really great thing for for the Alliance Fastpitch. Great for our members. Great to have as one of our benefits. And we feel really lucky to be kind of on this whole road with all of you. So I'm going to really take in a lot of this information. I'll put my information into the chat so you have access to my email and stuff like that. I feel really fortunate to work with such a great partner. And I think there's so many talented student athletes across the country. You'll get some great nuggets here tonight, be able to use those as you prepare for event season. And hopefully you're playing in one of our national championships here down the road.
Yeah. John, actually, someone just threw a question in here. Are you able to add high school recognition and successes, or is it just travel ball?
So this is connected most specifically to your travel ball side of things. But that's why I think the SportsRecruits partnership is also so great, because very seamlessly, as I'm sure they'll talk about, you can add stuff from your high school recognition along those ends. The thing about the Alliance that really stands out, and I think it's a great question, is because our information is data driven, and our league recognition, our player recognition, our leaderboards, standings, all of that stuff is done through data. And so while this is manipulated throughout the course of the year, it's manipulated based on results that are coming from live games and streaming and things like that. So there's a lot of other ways that you can use those really great high school accolades to your advantage in the recruiting process. These player profiles themselves are specifically related to your team and to your Alliance membership.
Yeah, and to John's point, and Caroline will walk through as well, with the SportsRecruits profile, you can put all of that information easily, and when it's linked, college coaches can go directly to that. So yeah, and I really liked what John said, because with SportsRecruits, everyone has access to the tools. Again, whether you are free or pro, it's just really important to just make sure you're putting as much information for college coaches to easily find you.
Yeah, and even to this next slide that we've got here that we'll start with in terms of preparing for an event, John talked about, Alliance has great competition, access for all. They've got an awesome organization when you're playing at an Alliance event, or if a coach is seeing your stats on Alliance and they're interested in you, they want to reach out to you, they want to see more information about you. Your SportsRecruits profile pairs perfectly with that. We have the organization and the layout that college coaches are looking for, this first piece for preparing for an event. And you really should be, these are best practices to do before all events, by the way. So not just once at the beginning of event season. We want you to be consistent all throughout this summer, building or updating your profile, whether you're building a profile for the first time or you're updating your profile as you go to an event with new information. Treat it like a recruiting resume. A college coach sees you play in person and they want to know what your grades look like. That's going to be on your SportsRecruits profile. That's going to be the best place for you to include that information. So number one thing is building or updating your profile before every event. Couple of pieces to that profile. We're just finishing up the school year. I'm sure a lot of you are going to have new grades coming in or a new academic transcript. Make sure you're updating that on your profile. And it's really easy to do. If you log into sportsrecruits.com and go to your profile, you'll see where you can embed all this information and upload it. Next, you're really going to want to start building or updating your list of favorite schools. So we've got a really great search tool at SportsRecruits for you to use if you're trying to, start that initial list. If you're trying to play around with your list and do more research on that schools, you can also do that through the school search tool. But college coaches can see if you have favorited their program or not. In a couple of slides, we're going to show you the college coach view on SportsRecruits, which I think will be really helpful for you as families and student athletes to see. If I'm a college coach and I'm looking for student athletes, a couple of filters that I can use are, does the student athlete have a profile picture? Do they have video on their profile? Do they have the GPA that I need? And do they have an interest in my school? So starting with a broad list of schools in that favorites list will be great. And then when you've got your profile and you have your list of schools and you're headed to an event, you should never show up at an event without contacting college coaches. You're investing your time and resources in travel, paying for either a camp or a showcase. You want to make the most of it. You don't have an unlimited number of in-person recruiting opportunities. You should always contact the college coaches on your list before you're headed so that they know that you're going to be there. They'll take the time to come see you play. You're not relying on chance of them being on the right field at the right time to see you at bat. And again, consistent communication is key. Like I said before, this should be happening before every event.
Yeah. And John also mentioned, some Alliance Fastpitch events. And at
Mhm.
those events, they will be using an app called Event Beacon, which is a digital coaches book. Coaches are able to look up the schedule, who's playing who, and if they want to learn more about you, they'll click on your name and they'll be taken directly to your SportsRecruits profile. So again, it's super important before every event, like Caroline said, making sure that your profile is fully up to date, not just at the start of the event season, but as you continue through.
Yep, being proactive at every step. Whether that's if you have an interest in D1, D2, junior college, D3, being proactive is the best thing you can do. Okay, cool. So diving again deeper into that, and here's that view that I was just mentioning. Fill out your profile completely. And again, you're not finishing your profile, okay, done, and you don't touch it for the next 3 years. You're continuing to update it as you go. New grades, your position changes. You guys get the drift here. It's really easy to keep it up to date, so just make a habit of it. Make sure high school coaches contact info. Let them know ahead of time that you're going to do that. By the way, don't just throw their contact info onto your profile. Make sure that they sign off to that, especially if you are a younger student athlete that college coaches can't talk to yet. Maybe they'll connect with your club coach in the meantime. Adding and updating video, and we're going to talk about this later as well. Video is the most requested piece of information we get from college coaches. They really want to see your profile before you're headed to an event. Think of having a highlight reel as a trailer to a movie. It's what you're using to get coaches hooked and interested in seeing you play in person. So regularly update your highlight reels, every few months, and even skills videos as well. And again, yeah, we've got it as a bullet point here. How the platform works for a college coach. Athletes with video are going to surface higher on a college coach's discovery feed. So video is super important if you didn't catch that already.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting that a lot of users on SportsRecruits don't realize is that there is a college coach side of the platform. So
Right.
when a college coach logs in, this is what they see, and they're able to filter student athletes based on position, grad year. Did they favorite my program? Are they interested in me? As Caroline mentioned earlier, they know which student athletes have hearted their program. And yeah, they want to see videos. So this is what the college coach side of the platform looks like. And we also have help articles too, if you even want to see it a little deeper. But yeah, the more information you have, the better, because then college coaches are using that information to filter.
Yeah, and the magic piece of SportsRecruits, this isn't just a profile that you're setting up and just putting it out there. SportsRecruits is a network. It is a network of college coaches and student athletes looking to get recruited. We're the bridge connecting you to these coaches. So again, don't think of it as just setting up a profile just to have one out there. It is, working on the other side as well for college coaches.
So Caroline spoke about, the 3 different things you need to be doing before an event: filling out your profile, making sure your list is updated, and messaging coaches. So, Caroline walked through the filling out the profile piece. Now let's talk about just building and maintaining a target list of schools before event season, but also throughout your recruiting process. So when you're first starting this process, we tell student athletes to favorite anywhere from 20 to 30 schools. It's really important that you cast a wide net and have a good amount of reach, fit, and safety schools. God forbid you're just favoriting maybe the top 10 softball programs and it may not be the right fit for you. And then you need to start from square one. Something too we talk about here at SportsRecruits is it's really about finding the holistic fit for you. It's not just the academic fit. It's not just the social fit. it's really all of these 5 categories that we have up here that you should be thinking about when you're building that list out and when you do start to narrow down that list. So when you think about the academic fit, some questions that you should be asking yourself is, do they have a major that I want to study? How big are the class sizes? What's the academic rigor? And, you could be sitting here and saying, Emily, I'm a sophomore in high school. I have no idea what I want to study, and that is totally fine. But do they have classes that may be interesting to you or majors that you may see yourself wanting to study? Thinking of the athletic fit, there's a lot of things that you should be asking yourself. What level do I want to play at? Is it D1, D2, NAIA? And then taking a step further, do I want to play for a team where I'm going to start my freshman year, or am I okay playing for a team where, I may not play until junior, senior year, but, we're competing for a national championship? The geographic fit, how far do I want to be from home? Am I okay getting on a plane ride to go across the country? Or is it important for me, for my friends, family, to be able to come and watch my games? Also, too, thinking about climate, do I want to be outside in the freezing cold during preseason, or do I want to be somewhere where it's warm all the time? Thinking about the social fit, student population. Am I okay going to a school where it's 40,000 people, or would I rather be in a smaller school where I know maybe the classes will be smaller? Do I want to study abroad? Do I want to be a part of clubs? And then finally, the financial fit, different for every family, and something that you'll really start to think about when you narrow down that list. But some things to think about if you are in that final process, is, percentage receiving aid, cost of attendance, thinking about FAFSA, what, your family's estimated contribution would be. Now, families I've worked with, Caroline has spoken to, if you can check 4 out of 5 of these, you've probably found the right fit for you. So again, it's really important to think holistically when building out that list, or maybe even just fine tuning it before you do jump into this busy event and club season. Now, with the SportsRecruits platform, we really broke down those different categories so you can look for what is important to you, what criteria you are searching for. This is free. Anyone can use this, and we encourage you to use this. You may find a school you never heard of that could be a really good fit for you. Keep in mind, too, the way the school search tool is set up, it is contingent on your gender and your sport. So it will only show softball programs. If it doesn't have a softball program, the school will not appear. Now, the next thing is, okay, you've built out your profile, you started to put together that list, and now it's time to start reaching out to coaches before event season. There are a few things that you should be messaging college coaches before event season. One, here's the full list of events I'm going to, but then reaching out 8 to 10 days before that specific event, sharing information and letting coaches know you're going to be there. This tool is a pro feature on SportsRecruits. It's very, very simple to use, similar to the school search feature. It's based on your gender and your sport, so you don't need to worry about maybe emailing the football team or the football coach. All you need to do is type in the name of the school, and then there's a drop down with the college coaches' emails. College coaches' names, excuse me. You click on those and it automatically embeds the email for you, saving you a ton of time. Just a few tips when you are using the messaging system. Reach out to the full staff. We never know who's in charge of the recruiting process or maybe who's going to that specific event. So just reach out to the full staff and, dear Coach Jones, Coach Wetz, and you can just list them all out in that singular email. Also too, I would always get the question, Emily, I don't know what schools are going to certain events. It's not on the events landing page. What do I do? Message your full list. They could be going, they could not. The coaching world is also very small. So, they could, Caroline emails someone and they say, hey, I'm not going to be able to go. Can you keep an eye out for this student athlete and, send me any of your notes? So just reach out to your full list, especially any local schools as well. But it is so, so important, even if you're not using the SportsRecruits messaging system, to message coaches before events. So just some basic tips around messaging. So let's say you're here and you're like, okay, event season's coming up, but I haven't sent any messages yet. That's totally fine. The first message you should always be sending to college coaches is that introduction message. And all you need to do is really include the basics, but then also it's really important that you're adding a line of why you're interested in that program, right? It doesn't need to be anything crazy. It doesn't need to be multiple paragraphs. It can be 1 or 2 sentences, but that touch of personalization will go a long way with college coaches. And then I know I already went through this, but it is so, so important as we enter the event season. Let's say you've already sent that introduction message. The next thing you should be doing is sending your preseason message. So that's reaching out to, your full list. Hey, coach, looking forward to the event season. I just wanted to share my event schedule for the summer. Here's X, Y, and Z where I'm going to be at. Once I get closer to that event, I'll be sure to share my full schedule with you. Then 8 to 10 days before that event, emailing the college coach with your full schedule or any other identifying information where they'll be able to see you at the event. Your jersey number, your position, if you're playing with your club team information, and then of course your schedule. Caroline said this at the beginning, but it is just so, so important to be proactive during the event season. In-person exposure is when, it's really going to push the needle with coaches if, they're going to reach out to you or they want to see more video from you, or maybe they want to invite you to a camp. Also to college coaches, they want to hear from the student athletes, right? It's fine, if your parent or guardian is helping you, construct that first message. It can always be a little scary. It's fine to have them read it over too, check for grammar, but, you should be the one sending the messages and really taking control. And what's so great about the SportsRecruits messaging system too is, you, your parent, or your guardian, whenever you're sending a message through SportsRecruits, it's always going to come from the athlete. So, if your mom or dad or guardian's logged on and, you guys are working together to put through a message, even if they send it, it's going to come from the student athlete.
Yeah, just to kind of hammer that home with Emily walking through the school search tool and the messaging system, we know that it can be overwhelming thinking about reaching out to 20 or 30 or, maybe even more schools than that, especially when you're just starting the recruiting process and you're really not sure which schools ultimately will be the right fit for you. Again, you'll find that out later. Treat it like a funnel where you're starting your recruiting process with a bunch of schools in the mix. And then don't worry about narrowing that list down until you're starting to really talk back and forth with coaches. The messaging system will save you a ton of time. All of the emails are threaded. So when you're reaching out to coaches and they're responding, it's going to come right back to you. But yeah, just to help you guys stay organized.
Great. Caroline, you can still see my screen, right? Okay. Cool. So we talked about you put in all this work before the event, your profile is fully filled out, you have that list that you've sent those messages to. What should you be doing during the event to ensure that you're going to be getting the right exposure? Something we talk about a lot here at SportsRecruits, we even have, an individual webinar about this topic, is just the intangibles. Intangibles will sometimes be what sets you apart from another student athlete who may have same grades as you, the same athletic talent. It's really important, that you're realizing that college coaches are everywhere, especially during event season. You may not think they're watching you, but they definitely are. And some little things when you are, sitting on the bench or, even in the field, body language is so important. Coaches are seeing that it's really important to be positive, whether that's encouraging your teammates are on the sideline or encouraging your teammates when you're on the bench, even if you're on the field, talking the field. Communication is really big in softball. And then also be mindful, maybe you're not involved in a play, or again, you're not on the field. What are you doing on the sideline, right? Are you sitting up? Are you cheering for your team? Are you having positive body language? And, it's also important to be respectful to the umpires, to the coaches, to your opponents. I've spoken to some coaches. They've said, they've been at events and they see student athletes passing, their bags or all of their gear to their parent or guardian to walk back to the car. And, they see that. So just really important during the event that you're being positive and also playing your game. It's easy to get into your head when college coaches are on the sideline. But, it's going to be in a busy event season. Maybe one game doesn't go your way. And that's okay. You have other chances to, get exposure from college coaches, and it's just on to the next game.
Emily alluded to this before, but I do want to reiterate on it. Similar to how the softball world is small, and even if a coach can't attend, they might have a friend at another school who's there, who's going to be keeping an eye on you. Another piece to that is coaches move often as well. Maybe they're coaching at a school that you're not interested in. Make sure that you're, again, demonstrating all of this positivity, because what if they end up at your dream school? You want to keep that positive impact and impression on these coaches always.
Totally. That's a really good point. Coaches are constantly, well, not constantly, but coaches are moving, from team to team. So with the SportsRecruits profile, and as I alluded before, especially if you're going to Alliance events or other softball events, we will be providing the digital coaches book. So coaches are able to pull up student athletes profiles on the sideline. And, if they see someone playing, they can go into it, click their profile, learn more about them. Or, if you're just using SportsRecruits and you're messaging college coaches, that's how you get in front of them. There's a link that's embedded in every single message that you send. And when a college coach clicks that, they get taken directly to your profile, and you get alerted all in real time when a coach is viewing your video, opening up your transcript, watching video. And, this transparency is great. If you're just sending an email from your Gmail, fingers crossed, hope they read it, but I'm not sure. So this is a part of the pro package, or an upgraded package. Everything gets filtered to your activity feed, but you also get alerted via text message and email whenever you have activity. Now, view notifications, as I said, they're really powerful. And you should be definitely asking yourself questions if you do get a view notification, if you want to message that coach. Now, we always tell student athletes, never send a coach an email saying, hey, I saw you viewed my profile, right? Feels a little creepy. Coaches, you should be asking yourself these questions before you send that message. 1, am I interested in this program? 2, have I spoken to this coach before? Have I had any interactions with them? 3, is this program at the same level in terms of academics and athletics as the other schools I'm interested in? And we definitely encourage student athletes, when they're building out that list or these schools start viewing your profile, leaning into your advocates. So when I say advocates, I mean your club coach, your high school coach, someone who will be able to tell you, what's a reach and what's a fit and what's a safety for you athletically. And then what did this notification tell me? Did they watch my team, or did they look at me specifically? So within those views, it will tell you if they came directly to your profile, if they came directly to your video, or they watched a greater video of your full team. So it will tell you that. Also, in tandem with view notifications, but also just in events, while you're at events, we've spoken to a lot of college coaches, and unless you have a personal relationship with a college coach, it's not encouraged to approach the coaches on the sidelines for a few reasons. They're actively recruiting, they're there for work. And, it's better to it's better to have conversations post-event via email with these coaches than going up to them. Again, if you have a personal relationship with them though, and you've spoken to them in person a ton of times after an event, or you visited the school, you can definitely speak to them. But if not, definitely just reach out to them post-event.
That's all super helpful. And yeah, just, if a coach is watching you at an event and then you see them leave, that doesn't mean that they're not interested in
Yeah.
you. They probably have a bunch of athletes that they're going to take a look at. So it's just something to keep in mind.
Mhm.
Again, you'll be following up with those coaches after an event, which brings us to what to do after an event. We've got a couple of slides here about video, and then also what you should be communicating to coaches following up on these events, tournaments, camp, showcases, whatever you're headed to this summer. So video, the importance of video, it is so important. It's more important than ever. It's the number one piece of information that coaches are asking us for. The stats here do not lie. College coaches are 11 times more likely to send you a message if you have video on your profile. That's huge. And then when we look at all the committed student athletes on SportsRecruits, so they're done with their recruit process, they're headed off to college, they know where they're going. If you have video on your profile, you're 3 times as likely to commit. So something to keep in mind with all of these events that you're headed to. And I know Emily tells families to do this all the time. I tell families to do this too. Don't wait until the end of the summer to clip up your video. Keep going, make it a habit of after an event, especially when it's fresh in your mind. And, with the sport of softball, you're not getting action during every second of these games. So while it's fresh in your mind, while you're remembering these games, you should make a habit of going in and marking out some clips that you want to include in a future highlight reel or a skills tape. Again, Emily's going to actually show you like the key pieces to a highlight reel or a skills tape, but coaches want videos that are short and sweet, no more than 3.5 minutes long. If you have more than 3.5 minutes of really, really great footage, split those up into 2 videos. You can upload unlimited amount of video to your SportsRecruits profile, regardless of whether you have a free or a paid membership. So definitely use that to your advantage.
Yeah. You can upload, you can embed videos, whether it's Huddle, YouTube, Vimeo.
Yeah.
If you have a Sideline HD account, you can connect video from your Sideline HD account. It's very seamless. It's very easy.
And there are, there's so many great video services that are out there right now. But if you're at a tournament and none of those services are available and you're sitting there, with your iPhone, that's okay. College
Yep.
coaches aren't always expecting ESPN quality videos. Like they know it's mom and dad filming. So, make a habit of that. Try and get as close as you can. But yeah, at-bats are great too.
Yeah. And I think too, just making sure you're capturing the full play is what's really important, like being at an elevated surface. But I think Caroline makes a good point. Our iPhones are super powerful and
Yeah.
they take videos. So feel free to do that as well. And there was one thing I was going to say. I hope it comes back to me about video.
Right.
Great. So creating highlight reels. Oh, this was going to say, Caroline mentioned that, short, concise, 3.5 minutes. And some people are like, I don't even have 3.5 minutes. Even if you just have 2 or 3 clips, get that onto your SportsRecruits profile. Make it easy for college coaches to be able to evaluate you. Now, with being softball player, we encourage student athletes to have skills videos and highlight reels. So when we say highlight reels, we mean live videos. So definitely having those 2 separate videos, highlighting your primary position first, putting that, in the beginning of your highlight reels, or, if you have multiple positions or a utility player, having like different skills videos for those positions as well. For the skills videos, this is in a practice setting. So this is where college coaches are looking at your technique. So you want to be doing that same skill 2 to 3 times. So college coaches are really able to evaluate that. It's also important to include, those hustle plays. So sprinting out of the batter's box, finishing your throws, backing up your teammates in live videos. those clips go a long way. College coaches, want to see your hustle in that. And again, if you are doing a skills video, it's important that you organize them, and having just like right in the corner, just what you're doing, the type of drill you're doing for college coaches to see that. And again, it doesn't need to be super long. We say max 330. And if you are, as Caroline said, having a hard time and you're like, I have a ton of good clips, we always tell student athletes to use the 5-star system when they're going through their footage. One being the best, sorry, one being the worst, 5 and 4 being the best. You should only include 4 or 5-star clips in that live highlight reel. And I think Caroline brings up a great point. I always tell families, do not wait till the end of the event season. If you have a really good, tournament, you have great plays, just put together a quick video and throw it on there for coaches to see. Now with the SportsRecruits platform, this is a free feature. You're able to create a highlight reel or create a skills video right on your SportsRecruits profile. You're able to use it with uploaded footage. It's really as easy as it looks here. You just upload the footage, you clip it up, and then you can order it by pulling down on those 2 arrows. You can rate them with the 5 stars, and you can even write a short description of what that play is. So if it is a skills video, you can write down the different skills of each clip, so college coaches know exactly what they're watching. But yeah, anyone can do this. Definitely encourage you to do this before you start going into the event circuit. You want to have something on there before college coaches start evaluating you at events.
And you can use this as your storage bin too through the
Yeah.
summer season. Not everything that you're creating on there, you have to make visible to college coaches. So again, we're not just saying, okay, keep up with your video and then not telling you a great way to do it. You can build all of those clips out so that when you're ready to fire out another highlight reel, they're ready, they're already trimmed up, and then you're making it visible to college coaches.
Yeah. And a lot of people do that so their video's not all over the place. So they just are like, as Caroline said, you can store unlimited amount of video. So just put it all in there so it's not in a bunch of different files and all over the place. So let's say, you went to an event, you had a great footage, put that footage together, and then reach out to a college coach after the event, whether that be camp, showcase, prospect day. This really goes a long way. I think a lot of student athletes forget this piece of thanking a college coach for their time. If you went to a camp, maybe even being specific of something you enjoyed about the campus or learned from them. And again, as I was saying before, make it personal. These college coaches know when they're a part of blast messages. I know college coaches love this. I've spoken to them about it. It just goes a long way that you took the time to thank them for watching you compete or thank them for working with them.
Yeah, you're when you're getting recruited, you're not just marketing yourself as an athlete, like you're marketing yourself as a student athlete, as a part of their program for the next 4, maybe even 5 years. So everything is all about, showing these coaches why you'd be a great fit for their program. Following up and being professional and respectful and polite goes a long way with setting yourself apart from somebody else.
Totally. And that goes back to just the intangibles, right?
Yeah.
These are the things that set you apart from someone who is very equal playing field academically or athletically. Cool. So just a high level recap, what we spoke about in terms of how to be preparing for this event season to really help you guys kick off your recruiting week with Alliance. Preparing for an event, things you need to be doing before, making sure your profile is filled out, organize that favorites list, and reach out to college coaches before the bigger event season with your full list and where you'll be. And then 8 to 10 days before each specific event, sharing your schedule and any other identifying information that coaches would need to know to easily see you at this event. During the event, always be thinking about the intangibles. Your attitude is so important. College coaches are always watching. Definitely take the time to capture video. As Caroline said, if there isn't a place for you to buy video, just have someone on the sideline try to film you, making sure, they're getting from an elevated angle and getting the full play. And then, leverage your view notifications, really figure out, these schools that have viewed me, am I interested in them? Are they the right fit? And then after the event, if you have video from the event prior, putting together a highlight reel or skills video, and then messaging college coaches, thanking them for their time. If you worked with any college coaches, maybe asking for feedback, and then always reassessing your interest in that school. Cool. We have a ton of free resources as well. Our knowledge base just walks you through how to use SportsRecruits, and we host webinars every month. And then we also recently launched a resource center that gives you a ton of tips with recruiting, email templates, NCAA rules, financial aid, and how that all works. So definitely check them out if you haven't. Cool. We went a little bit over, so let's see if we have any questions in here. Also too, I threw John's email in the chat as well. If anyone has any questions about Alliance, feel free to reach out to him directly. So I don't see. Just give me one sec.
Yeah, any questions you have, drop it in the Q&A. Sometimes I get the question from families of if they are looking to get recruited, maybe in multiple sports, you can set up a dual profile on SportsRecruits that are linked together. So just so that you can reach out to the right coaches, have the right video, right information. You just set up a profile with the same contact information, and you'll be able to toggle back and forth.
Yeah, and to go back to a question we had in the beginning about adding, different recognitions on your profile, like with the SportsRecruits profile, you can add athletic accolades, academic accolades. You can put your transcript on there. There's an About Me section where you can write a bio as well. So you can really fill it out. There's a place for SAT scores. So really anything involving athletic and academics, you can get on there. Cool. Well, guys, that's all the time that we have for tonight. As I mentioned at the beginning, you'll be emailed a recording of this webinar, but any questions you may have, feel free to email help@SportsRecruits. Any questions you have about Fastpitch, John's email is in there as well. But best of luck this week and this event season. Reach out if you guys have any questions. Thanks, guys.